everybody. Welcome to another episode of Friends Talking Nerdy. This is the sexiest voice in podcasting today, Tim Gelsma. And with me, I've got...
Professor Aubrey.
All right, we have got a jam-packed show for you this week. Closing things out, we're going to have a little get-together of some folks that I haven't had a chance to talk to in a long time. So that'll be pretty interesting here. But before we dive into things, I do want to talk about a death that occurred in the comic book industry.
Oh, no.
Yes. Gentleman by the name of Denny O'Neil passed away. Now, folks like yourself who are not big fans of the comics are probably going to ask, who is Denny O'Neil?
Hey, who is Denny O'Neil?
Well, thank you for that. He is legendary in the industry. He got his big start in the late 60s, early 70s. Did some work at DC. Actually started working right about the time that the Silver Age turned into the Bronze Age. Now, the big difference there, for folks that don't know, the Silver Age comics are more, you would expect those stories told in those comics during that particular time to be something you would see on Saturday morning cartoons, whereas the Bronze Age was the beginning of taking these characters that were originally meant for kids and kind of giving them a little more to play with, giving them adult stories and stuff like that. Like, for instance, Denny O'Neil and who was the other guy? I forgot his name off the top of my head, but they were commissioned by DC editor Julius Schwartz to take two characters that weren't really having that much of an impact and put them in the same book to give them something to do. Those characters were the Green Arrow and Green Lantern. In the 70s. Now, the big thing for that is that the very first issue with both of them together, it opened up with a scene of, it was near an apartment building, and there was a guy getting assaulted by somebody else. Green Lantern comes, and with his power ring takes the guy that was hurting the other person, and then, takes him to jail. But then questions why that the people at that apartment building were throwing stuff at him when he came back to essentially receive praise or something like that. And then Green Arrow, ended up telling him that the guy that was getting beat up was a shady landlord. And that the guy that they put in jail, had to take care of his grandmother who was disabled and didn't have a job. And then that was right around the time too, one of the early famous scenes in comic history to where they're like on a roof or something like that. And then an African American gentleman, goes to Green Lantern and says, "I heard about all your stories. I heard about how you saved the purple skins and how you saved these skins, the yellow skins and whatnot. Where were you for the black skins?" People, and just he with Neil Adams was the other guy. He was one of the first to essentially, like I said, open the doors to discussing serious topics. He also had a legendary run on Batman. He was the person that essentially he joined the comic shortly after the Adam West TV show went off the air, and there was kind of a part on people at DC's on DC's end to kind of distance themselves away from that, so they kind of brought Batman back to his original darker roots. So we can thank him for that. There, he created legendary character Ra's al Ghul. Did you ever see Batman Begins?
I didn't.
He was played by Liam Neeson in that movie. So, spoilers. But the character has shown up in like Batman the Animated Series. Even showed up in Arrow. But that's a major Batman villain right there. Ended up working at Marvel for a while and gave a gentleman by the name of Frank Miller his first big assignment on Daredevil. Frank Miller, you're like, who is that? Frank Miller in the 80s wrote one of the seminal comics of all time called The Dark Knight Returns. Kind of set when Batman is in his 50s. He had been retired for a while, but then the world went to hell. Superman ended up becoming a big blue Boy Scout, more so than he already was by listening to the president, but by listening to the president in that storyline, he was actually unintentionally supporting a fascist regime. So at the end of that comic, him and Batman, get into a fight. Which, again, if you're not a comics comic book fan, it's something I definitely recommend reading. But if you watch the occasional superhero movie with the DC characters, like if you watch Batman v Superman: Dawn of Justice, the big fight at the end with Superman and Batman was essentially taken from the Frank Miller comics. So, Denny O'Neil, big loss in the comic world for casual fans today, people who are more so fans of like TV shows and cartoons than the comic books. I get why his passing is not going to be something that everybody's going to be super upset about, but definitely look into his history, because he's one of the important figures in comic history. So
awesome. Well, thanks for all that great information about him. It does sound like a big loss for the comic book community.
Yeah. Now, if you folks can't hear, I'm at the Friends Talking Nerdy Studios here. We got Phil kind of calling out to his friend Sherman. And I don't know how much of this is going to be picked up, but knowing Phil, he'll find a way to...
They just go rambunctiously rumbling through the room, and Sherman jumped outside because Phil can't go out the cat door to the catio, so Sherman ran out into the catio.
I'm getting away from you.
And so now Phil is just forlornly wandering around going,
where you at? You my buddy? Now he's coming over here. Anyway, this week... we did a good thing.
We sure did.
We did. You want to tell the folks what we did?
Sure. So, we're in Portland, near Portland, Oregon. We're in Vancouver, Washington. And so we're just across the river from Portland, Oregon, where there have been protests every night since George Floyd was murdered by the police in Minneapolis. And essentially folks get together around 6 o'clock every night at a place called Revolution Hall, and they start marching around 7, and they go to different places around town. They had on Tuesday, they had a march where the entire crowd, which was thousands and thousands of people, took over a whole bridge in downtown Portland. And
I never would have been able to do that. I hate bridges.
Yeah.
Anyway.
They laid down on the ground and put their hands behind their backs for 9 minutes, which it was 8 minutes and 47 seconds or something was how long the police had their knee on George Floyd's neck. So there have been a lot of marches, and I got a notification that there was a march for educators in particular, educators for Black Lives Matter, and wanted to go out and show my support for Black Lives Matter. And it seemed like a good opportunity, since I'm a college professor, to go out and just be there, be a body at a march for Black Lives Matter. So that's what we did on, what day was that? Thursday?
Yeah,
Something
Thursday.
Like
yeah. It was definitely interesting. I mean, it had me thinking about, if you think about it, when we were kids growing up, it may have been different for you, but when they did teach about civil rights, I'm thinking about it, and it's just like they did have a unique spin that wasn't exactly the truth in terms of how they presented that information. It's in terms of what I've noticed is that growing up, it seemed like people wanted to give the impression that somehow after Martin Luther King, racism was essentially solved.
Oh, sure.
It's trying to talk about how, and Sherman's back in, trying to talk about how, this essentially it's like, the protests are stuff that we had to do, but we don't have to do that anymore type of deal. And stuff like the past 4 years, but a lot longer, of course, but everything with the president that we've had the past 4 years has made me really kind of think about, just the misconceptions I had, growing up about, a lot of stuff, including, race relations in this country. And Phil found a purple ball he's playing with. Anyway.
Have you ever read the book Lies My Teacher Told Me?
No.
That is a great book. You should check it out, because it goes through the sort of history of the United States in like a more of a realistic way. And if what you're mostly carrying around with you is the approved curriculum for the history of the United States. You really have a lot of misinformation, and it's fascinating. I have it on audiobook if you ever want to listen to it.
Nice. Yeah, because I know like major school books, essentially it like I believe it like if they don't pass the Texas like education system somehow, then they don't get released nationwide or something like that. Maybe you have a little more insight if you know what I'm talking about.
No, because I'm not involved really with public education, so I don't.
Okay.
I don't.
Yeah, and which if I got my facts straight, let's make it clear. I'm remembering something I read a few years back, but it's like. It is disturbing that you do have like one group of people in a particular part of the country that get to approve the curriculum for everybody else when the picking and choosing is that's a whole different thing altogether, I guess. But back to the protest. I mean, it was definitely an emotional experience for me too, in a positive way.
Really?
Just kind of soaking everything in, feeling that power. I mean, one thing we both talked about that day was the sheer volume of people that were there for something that has been going on for over 2 weeks now. And that says a lot, especially in this country, because Americans routinely, we're like babies when you rattle some keys in front of them. Our attention can turn to different things quickly. So the fact that we still have, I guess they counted like over 2,000 people at the march we went in. 2 weeks on, that says to me that I don't think this these events will cure racism. I'm not saying that, but I think that we may be on the verge of seeing some substantial good come out of this. Cross fingers. Maybe I'm being naive, but hopefully we do see something. But any more thoughts on that?
Just one of the interesting things that happened was they asked, one of the things that the group was asking for is for the city of Portland. So Portland has access to its cannabis tax money and uses that money for various things, including giving grants to community organizations. But they give a significant amount of that cannabis money to the police. And so one of the demands being made by the Black Lives Matter group in Portland is that the city of Portland divest, like not give the police that cannabis money anymore.
I think that what they said was they were looking for a 50% reduction, if I'm not mistaken. And they said that the mayor, Ted Wheeler, didn't even, I think they mentioned, if I'm not mistaken, they took 10% off. They didn't even bother going 25 and haggling from there. They just went with a really, really low number that was more than likely like, oh no, we're not going to get like business cards this year type of like small financial amount. Like a drop in a bucket essentially.
Yeah, so we'll see how that campaign goes. There are lots of different campaigns with specific asks. So it was good to be part of that.
It definitely was, and I think we both said that if there is an opportunity for us to do that again, we're going to do that. And of course, having the podcast here, it gives us the ability to have a louder voice than the average person. Even though we don't have the biggest audience, same as last week in the show description, we will have some links to places to go to for not only information but ways you can help as well, whether it's financially or with your time. But when we're talking about equal rights for everybody, that's not something that's not a political thing. That should not be something that people have to, no, everybody should be treated fairly. I don't think that's a big ask, and frankly, the police, as things are today, if the police went away and we came up with a new system that didn't punish a lot of things that don't need to be punished,
like walking around or picking up garbage near your dorm, or all of the many things that Black people have a much higher percentage of getting stopped by the cops and questioned and have their ID demanded, and when in situations where white people would not be questioned at all.
Yep.
But I think it's important to recognize too, you said it's not a big ask, but it really, I think what we see is that it is persistent and it requires work, and it's not easy, and it doesn't just happen because you want it to. There is a lot of work that has to go into it for all of us as individuals to look at our own implicit and explicit biases and accept that we've been socialized in such a way that our reactions to things are socialized in a racist way because we live in a white supremacist system. And that's hard to process and takes a lot of work for people to process. So I don't want it to seem like this is just, we're just going to be able to say, yeah, everybody should be equal and have it be that way. Because there is a lot of work that individuals and institutions have to do, that the police has to do, that the school system has to do, that colleges have to do. Everyone needs to be engaged in the work and be spending resources in
not just liking a tweet. Liking a tweet is good. Retweeting a tweet is good because it does get the message out there. But with everything that's going on today, and thank you for correcting, not even correcting me, but just you
expanding on your
exactly. We have to get out there and work. This is not something that again, that you like a tweet and then you're done. To your point, this is going to take time. This is going to take a lot of work. There's going to be disappointment along the way, but it's important for especially white people to do that work because my kids, my ex-wife is African American, so I shouldn't have to have a different opinion just because of that. But I got I've seen some stuff racism wise, because of that just makes me sick. And yeah, don't sit on this. This is not something, because you don't want to be like 20, 30 years from now thinking back, I could have done something, but I didn't. You don't want that feeling.
Yeah, and I would just mention too, the quarantine is still happening. Multnomah County is still in baseline phase for the COVID-19 situation. And it was possible for us. We wore our masks. Everybody was wearing masks. People were doing, I think, a pretty good job of socially distancing.
And the people there were giving away free masks. So if you came without a mask, they were providing that. They were providing water, snacks, and all that. And another reason to financially support. But still, they were keeping it safe.
Yeah. So I just wanted to mention that too. And the whole experience, you and I had decided early on that we didn't want to be, and we were going to try to avoid any confrontation with the police if that were to happen. But I didn't see any kind of indication that was going to happen.
She had her middle finger ready to go. Fuck you!
And we didn't stay for the whole thing, but from what I've heard, from what I read, there wasn't any, it was peaceful protest and the police weren't really involved, so.
That's good there. So, we're gonna, like I said, we're gonna continue to amplify, this message. We're also gonna do our best in the coming weeks to kind of amplify other voices. Whether it's other minority podcasts, books, or something like that. Stuff that we feel that can help this situation, even if it is just another podcast that talks about nerdy stuff. That's We're gonna do what we can to make sure that we're doing our part. That's all you can do.
Right.
All right. Let's get on to our top 5 segment.
Okay.
Top 5 favorite albums, and what we decided to do this year. We were thinking of the date to pick them from, and we came up with 1997. That was a year I worked in a music shop. In Grand Rapids, they had a local chain called Believe in Music. When it was run well, it was one of those unique hole-in-the-wall places that, that you want a good independent music place to be, but then the owners, one, were assholes. And 2, they had delusions of grandeur that they owned like 3 different locations in Grand Rapids, but they thought they could compete with stuff like Sam Goody in the 90s when the internet was just hitting.
Yeah.
So, it was definitely an end of the line for, record shops as we knew them, and for Believe in Music. I'm glad that place went under, and I hope those people are permanently bankrupt and have to eat out of dumpsters.
Wow.
So fuck those people. They were that bad.
That's bad.
Yeah. Anyway. So we came up with our top 5 favorite albums.
Well, so let me say what I was doing in 1997.
What were you doing in 1997?
In 1997, I was graduating from college. I was exploring my sexuality. I had gotten my first post-college job and was working at a outdoor treatment center for adolescents, and I was working 3.5 days on and 3.5 days off, 24 hours a day. Cool. And I was sort of baby lesbian, kind of is where I was in my life. And so as I went through the list of albums for 1997, it was the ones that were, when we talk about them, you'll see the influence of that sort of baby lesbianism.
Are we talking the Lilith Fair main stage?
It was the Lilith Fair main stage. Okay. Oh my God, I think I went to Lilith Fair that year in Michigan. No, in Chicago.
Chicago, close enough. Yeah.
In Chicago.
Yeah. All right. So, did you want to start off, or do you want me to go first?
Why don't you go first?
All right. The first album I put on my list, we actually talked about it yesterday. Earthling from David Bowie.
Oh, I saw that had come out, and I wondered if you would pick it because you mentioned it was a good album yesterday.
Yeah, really good album. That group of musicians that he had working on that were essentially kind of the remnants of Tin Machine. Tin Machine was a group that he was in with Soupy Sales Kids. Oh. Like the guitar player and the bass player and the drummer were Soupy Sales Kids. Soupy Sales was an old children's host in the 60s, also did some AM radio in the 80s, but after that this is David Bowie, like his kind of reclaiming his name again, because like in the 80s he had like Dancing in the Streets with Mick Jagger. He had because in the 80s he I think he went to another record company, or I think it was a thing with either a record company or his managers that they wanted him to produce. He didn't like the contract, and they wanted him to produce more pop stuff, but then he came out with his popular stuff in the 70s, like the Berlin Trilogy and all that. But once he was able to break free of that contract, that's when Let's Dance, China Girl, stuff like that came out. Good songs, but not as they're more of the polished Bowie, the rock star type of deal. But this is him kind of coming back. But a couple of my favorite tracks, Little Wonder, the opening track on the song. Love that one. And also, I believe he did the video at least with Trent Reznor, but I believe Trent Reznor actually helped him with the song I'm Afraid of Americans. Love that song.
Mm-hmm. That is a song we heard yesterday.
Yep.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Anyway. All right, what's your first one?
Okay, so for my first album, I went with the Buena Vista Social Club's album of the same name. And if you recall, back in the 90s, in 97, I guess, there was a documentary called The Buena Vista Social Club, mm-hmm. which focused on the musicians of Cuba who had been sort of forgotten by the rest of the world because they sort of cloistered in, because of the U.S. embargo, hadn't received so much attention. And this music is amazing, and the musicians are amazing. And I remember seeing that movie and getting that album and just listening to it nonstop and loving it so much and really wanting to go to Cuba. And it was just a great album.
Nice. All right, my next choice is from Paul McCartney.
Oh God. Paul McCartney in the 90s.
This is actually a pretty good album called Flaming Pie. This is his first album after the Beatles anthology sessions. This was produced by both George Martin and Jeff Lynne, and when you listen to it, it sounds Beatle-ish. Obviously, with Paul McCartney, it's going to no matter what. But the reason I like it is this. Is it his best solo work ever? It is not. I'm not trying to say that, but it's one of his most consistent. I mean, even in my early 20s, listening to that album in the 90s, from first track to last, it's something that you can have on the background. It's mellow, which I like. Has some good tracks on there. One of my favorites is Young Boy. But it's one that I think could surprise you. It's, again, not McCartney's absolute best work ever. I mean, but the fact that he was putting out good quality stuff like this, I mean, he knew also that he didn't need to put out a new Sgt. Pepper. So, he's at that stage where he could put out whatever he wants, and he knows he's going to get people buying it just because of his name. But still, pretty good, pretty solid album.
Okay.
What's your next one?
I guess I'll go for, before I get into the lesbians, I'll go for Portishead.
Okay.
So, Portishead's first album, I think, was Dummy, which had some great tracks on it that really were their breakthrough tracks. But Portishead, the album, also had some good tracks on it, including Only You, which is... it's a great song. Portishead is one of those great bands to have on in the background. How do you feel about Portishead?
Never heard of him.
What? Oh my gosh, we'll have to listen to some Portishead.
Okay.
It's very atmospheric, and it's got like a good funky beat.
Loud guitars?
Nope.
Damn. Screaming?
No screaming.
Damn.
No explosions.
Damn.
Yeah, you might not like it, but we should listen to it anyway.
Every band can't be kissed, Tim. Come on.
It's like a sexy album. It was very sexy music.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. My next choice is Bridges to Babylon from the Rolling Stones. One of their second to last complete album to date. The big track off of that album was Anybody Seen My Baby? The video, of course, was made famous with a very young Angelina Jolie, which a few years later, when I worked at Best Buy, they like for a while the Stones had like these concert DVDs that they had on a special box set at Best Buy that was exclusive to Best Buy, that collected dust. And so, what the entertainment, the entertainment section folks at the company thought, for employees, let's give them a big discount, and I was able to get like all of them for like pennies on the dollar. So I was watching some of the content, and there was like one scene, there was one song where Mick made a reference about having sex with Angelina Jolie, and he mentioned Billy Bob Thornton too, because this was at the time when they were a couple. So he heavily intimated that he had sex, and
that he had a threesome with Billy Bob Thornton and
No,
Angelina Jolie?
not a threesome. The way he said it, I got the impression that he was making fun of Billy Bob Thornton, like "I got your girl" type of deal.
Well, he is a big misogynist. That Mick Jagger.
So misogynist. Shaking his hips all so bad. But definitely like that album. It's my absolute favorite from this era of the Rolling Stones. I mean, because they've been around so long that it really is different eras for them. No, I do prefer their album previous to this, Voodoo Lounge, better. But come on, you can't go. Even a bad Rolling Stones album is going to have some gems.
All right.
What's your next one?
Okay, so now we're going to get into the lesbian section.
Lesbians, yeah!
Yay! And I really wanted to put Katie Lang's album Drag on the list, but she didn't make it, so I just mentioned it. She's not on my list.
One more, but about Katie Lang. Anybody Seen My Baby from the Rolling Stones? They realized just before that album was released that the chorus sounded just like Katie Lang's Constant Craving.
Oh.
So they gave Katie Lang a writing credit just to make sure she wouldn't sue.
Oh, interesting.
So, anyway, go ahead.
So I'm going to go for Ani DeFranco's double live album, Living in Clip, which has got all your Ani DeFranco needs taken care of. It's got Joyful Girl on it, 32 Flavors, my personal favorite, Both Hands, and about 50 other songs. She did a more than 2-hour concert in New York City and recorded it as this album, and it's really great.
Now, I mean, I'm definitely familiar with the name, but I don't recall her music. Would she be since she did have that concert for so long, is she kind of like a jam band, like Fish or something like that?
Oh, no. She's a guitar player, singer-songwriter, but a little bit sort of post-punk, folk rock, I would say. And her lyrics are incredibly feminist. She has her own record company called Righteous Babe Records, and that's probably why you've never heard of her, because she's never had a traditional music contract. She released all of her own stuff, and
I mean, I remember the name, and at the music shop I worked at, I do remember stocking the album. So
yeah.
I mean, I've seen the work, but and it was also around that time too that MTV, as I knew it growing up, was essentially dead, and I didn't watch MTV anyway. And if she was on MTV, it probably was only during like 120 minutes, that 2-hour block of alternative music that they would always put on at like Sunday night at midnight.
Yeah, I don't know if she was ever on MTV.
Yeah. Anyway, my next one, 9 Lives, Aerosmith. Yeah, Aubrey's a big fan.
You can't see me shaking my head over these musical choices. At least I've heard of all of these. You haven't heard of any of mine, I don't think.
Not so far, no. How's that bad? That's not bad. What? That's ignorant.
You gotta expand your mind.
Yeah. This album here was their first album back with Columbia Records. The 2 big hits, Falling in Love is Hard on the Knees. Good song, not their absolute best. This is more like a country song in a lot of ways, because it's like the title of the song can be on a bumper sticker. So they definitely did better there. But the one I really like off the album, Pink. Remember that one?
Nope.
Pink is my new obsession. Pink. It's a good song. Trust me.
Is it about vaginas?
I mean, Steven Tyler is singing it, so just a little bit maybe, but he just talks about liking the color pink.
Mm-hmm. Uh-huh. Mm-hmm. Oh, God.
All right, so.
Well, my next choice is the Indigo Girls, Shaming of the Sun. You familiar with the Indigo Girls at all?
Yes.
Yes, okay. So they're a duo. Amy Ray and Emily. I can't believe I can't remember her last name.
You forgot? Oh, my God.
Amy and Emily. And probably the most famous song from this album was Get Out the Map. I don't know if you... Get out the map. Get out the map, turn your head and finger anywhere down. Yeah, anyway, it was kind of a cute little song. So, quintessential lesbian band. Okay. For shizzle.
Yeah, and 97 was the year that I saw my first concert. That was the first concert I paid for. That was the Kiss reunion tour. So I was not listening to Annie DeFranco.
Annie DeFranco, the Indigo Girls, the Buena Vista Social Club, or Portishead.
No. Just a lot of yeah, man, woo type of deal.
I feel I've met you at the right time in our lives.
Yeah, you would not have liked me.
No, I would have been like, I hate you. I would have hated you on sight.
Stupid, get out,
I would have flipped you off.
Oh my God, and I've seen her do that.
Yeah.
All right, last album on my list. May shock some people, but this album had a lot of chutzpah behind it. I like the intentions of this singer in coming up with this album. And you're like, what is it? It is In a Metal Mood, No More Mr. Nice Guy from Pat Boone.
Pat Boone. Mm-hmm.
People are like, what the hell? What it is, Pat Boone, for folks that don't know, made his name in the 50s. He was the white guy that did covers of like Little Richard songs. So, not the greatest singer in the world, but, it is what it is. But this album in particular is actually unique because what he did is took metal songs and then gave them kind of like a Frank Sinatra treatment.
Oh.
And actually had some people guest along, like he did Holy Diver, and Dio guested on the album. Again, not the greatest album of all time, but the fact that he went out of his comfort zone to kind of open people's... Because the big thing about...
So it's basically a novelty album.
It is, in a lot of ways, a novelty album, yeah. But, again, I respect it, because Pat Boone primarily, folks that... If people are even aware of him today, they're probably more aware of him with his religious stuff. I guess he has a show like on one of the religious channels or something like that, and he's primarily put out like gospel records and stuff like, and that's great. I mean, his daughter had a big hit in the 70s. What was that hit? Debbie Boone.
Oh yeah, Debbie
You
Boone.
Light Up My Life, which was about Jesus, or something like that. But again, he was able to bring this music to a group of people that normally would not have checked it out. And if there were people that got...
I would definitely listen to it. I would love to hear Pat Boone singing Holy Diver.
It's unique, let's put it that way. But I respect it. He didn't have to do this. I mean, he's never been in a position where he, like Willie Nelson, had to put out albums to, pay the government money, the IRS albums or anything like that. So yeah, it shouldn't be on my list, but it's on my list, and definitely it is worth a listen. But yeah.
All right, well, I have chosen for my last album what I believe to be the best album of 1997 and beyond. One of the finest albums ever put out by a man named Elliott Smith. So Elliott Smith is a singer-songwriter, sort of the beginning of that Death Cab for Cutie, Modest Mouse, those sort of folk songs with an edge-ish. And this album is called Either Or. And it's got some really great songs on it, like Speed Trials and Alameda, Rose Parade. And as a Portlander, some of these might sound familiar to you. Alameda's a neighborhood in Portland, and Rose Parade is something that usually happens around this time every year. It's not happening because of COVID, but...
happened the first year I came to Portland. I get off the train June 15th, 2015, and I am walking to the cheap hotel I was going to stay at in downtown Portland for a couple of days until my family came up, and then I passed by two groups of people. One were some nice young ladies who had their shirts off and their bosoms all painted up. That was awesome. Second was a gaggle. I think they're called a gaggle of queens. Drag queens just come in, owning the street, and I'm like, I'm home. I'm home. Yeah.
So that must have been the Pride Parade.
It may have been.
Which happens around the same time as the Rose Festival, but it's not actually part of the Rose Festival.
Okay.
Anyway,
the professor had to correct me.
My favorite song on this album, Either Or, is 2:45 a.m., which just captures that moment at 2:45 a.m. when you're still out and you're going to head to the original Hot Cake House and have a greasy breakfast with the rest of the drunks. But that sort of feeling of isolation that you get in the middle of the night in the city and you go out walking.
Yeah, it is weird. I know when I first moved out, I loved being able to get up at like 3 o'clock in the morning. I've always had trouble sleeping. I love being able to get up at 3 o'clock in the morning and just like walk, but it does feel weird walking when like nobody's outside, and it does feel like like, should I be out here? And you do feel alone because you're not with anybody, and you think, oh my god, are the cops gonna stop me because I'm walking outside? Oh my goodness.
Yeah. So ever heard of Elliott Smith?
Heard of him.
Okay, good.
Not heard him, but heard
So
of
this was the year also that he performed at the Oscars because his work was appreciated by a fellow Portlander, Gus Van Sant, who had a bunch of Elliott Smith songs then in the
Good Will Hunting?
Good Will Hunting soundtrack. And so Elliott Smith performed his song Miss Misery at the Academy Awards that year.
I wasn't watching. I didn't have a TV.
Yeah, me neither.
Yeah.
But he was on the label Kill Rock Stars, and this was his third album, and I think it's his best album.
All right. Definitely recommend you all give those albums a shot. And next week we will, depending on who's here, we will have an interesting top 5 to go through. Excellent. Yeah. Now we're going to bring you to a conversation I had with some former coworkers. One thing to keep in mind, near the end of the track, we did have somebody kind of join along by the name of Eric. And he, was making a big deal about joining here, but didn't realize that the microphone he had set up to, join along was causing some problems as well. And then every time we try to point it out, like, fix your mic, because it was going to, that type of noise. And he just sat there, like, didn't know what to do. So thanks, Eric, you dick. All right, so we hope you enjoy that conversation. And, glad we can do this again for another week. Yep. All right. And a whole group of people I used to work with here. Hey, everybody.
Hey.
Hi. Yeah, so reason for this episode is this. I've talked about on the show before having to work at Best Buy. One part of working there was a little intranet message group that company put together called Watercooler. Told about some of the stories and some of the people, and I thought, why not bring some of those people on to, I don't know, discuss what life was like at Big Blue. So how you folks doing?
Great. Good.
All right, let's go one by one here. Let's start off with the happy couple, Jessica and Keith. Tell the folks at home just who you are, and also tell them when you both started at Best Buy.
My name's Jessica. I worked at Best Buy a couple of times. The first time, 2005 to 2009, and then again in 2012 to early 2013.
You're one of this. I'm kind of in the same group. I mean, I think a lot of us had times where we thought we got away, and then they pulled us back in.
Yeah, that was exactly.
Oh yeah.
Nightmares, man.
I almost did that.
I still literally have nightmares.
Yeah. Well, your lovely husband. Let's have him introduce himself.
My name is Keith. I think I started in 2006, and I forget when I got let go.
I should have laughed at that, but that's funny. That is funny.
And that was in 2009, so late 2008.
It was Christmas Eve.
Yeah.
Oh damn.
I remember seeing that story on Facebook. I remember seeing that.
Wait, are we talking about the bear story?
What?
No, not the bear story.
No, yeah, because there was that wasn't you. It was somebody else. I remember there was a guy.
Oh no! I remember that.
Yeah, I know the bear story, not that story.
Yeah. For the folks at home, a guy wrote this long, detailed story on a company message board about a bear. I think the bear was having some explicit sex or something like that. Just something like, why did you think that was appropriate? Anyway, let's introduce some more people. Heather, tell the folks hi.
Hello, everyone.
When did you start working at Best Buy?
I want to say it was back in 2003, maybe. I'm not for sure, and I think I stayed until 2007. But it was quite a ride, I'll say that. I was actually stolen by a plumbing company. A woman actually came in and tried to purchase some appliances and asked for a discount. And when I told her I can't get her a discount, but we might be able to find some sort of bulk package deal if she purchased more appliances. And because of the way I handled it, she's like, "Here, let me see if you'd work for my company," and that's where I went.
Nice. Moved on
awesome.
up. All right, Amir, tell the folks at home hi.
Hello.
All right.
Shoot. I'm trying to think. When I started Best Buy, I think that the first time was like between 07 and 2010. Then I came back in like 2013 to 20. No, it was before 2013. Shit. It was like 2011 through 20.
I think you came back about the same time I came back.
Yeah, like it was a while, because then I came back until I moved here. So, yeah, that was like 2011, 2012, all the way to 2015.
Nice.
And then I was like, no, I'm really done. I'm done with retail, period. Forever.
I swear.
I'll never go back.
Chelsea.
It was an experience. Best Buy in Philly.
Yeah. Chelsea, tell the folks at home hi.
Hello, everybody.
All
How's
right.
it going? So, Best Buy, me. I started in November 2006 as a temporary worker for the holidays, and then they kept me on, and then I think it was 2009 when I was let go from the company. It was a big ordeal too. I don't know. Do you guys remember when I got let go, fired? I guess.
I don't remember
They
that. No.
thought people. Okay, so people thought I stole a ton of money, and thought I don't know. Yeah, and then one person said I was said something racist, and that's why I got fired.
What?
So yeah, it was some crazy shit. So anyway, so that happened, and then I came back. Actually, I begged for my job back because they were in the wrong for firing me.
Right.
So yeah, I came back in late 2009, early 2010, I think, and then I officially quit. Officially quit in 2000, or no. Yeah, officially quit in 2014. It was 1 year after I got my second job. Then I left, never went back to retail. So.
Thank goodness. Alex, tell the folks at home hi.
Oh, hello. So I started at Best Buy in July of 2006. And I stayed until June of 2015. There was a point where I almost went back part-time, but then I went into the store and saw that a manager who should have never been a manager in the first place had gotten rehired as a manager. So I was like, I think I'm good. So I did not get sucked back in, thankfully.
Well, that's good. And last but not least, for the folks that have joined us so far, Eric, tell the folks hello.
Well, so I feel weird seeing the only one of us that's still there. So I started in 05, actually, and I'll be hitting 15 years in November, which is weird to say with everything that's been going on recently that you guys haven't had to deal with. So,
How did you manage I have to ask, sorry to interrupt you, but how did you manage to duck that many purges?
Right.
Here's the deal. I was solar project team for a while, so I ducked I managed to duck the solar project team getting purged, essentially, when I went back to a store when solar project team went away. Right now, I'm probably the most nervous of the whole time I've worked there because I don't know what to think, and nobody really does. But that's a whole other story for another day.
You mean people aren't rushing out to buy TVs now? My goodness.
They are, and they're pissed that they can't come into the building yet.
Yeah, I had to pick up something from our store, and that was an experience. Let me tell you.
Yeah, you guys haven't looked. You're not having to deal with this.
Oh.
I don't work at Best Buy anymore, but I am back in retail, and I work at a music store now, and we have people all the time trying to come in. We can't let you inside to try out 20 guitars. You have to go away.
But I really need to play Stairway to Heaven to see if I can use this guitar, man.
But we do still have people buying a lot of guitars, just not from in the store.
Oh, for sure.
Nice. Now, the reason we are all here today, Watercooler. What are people's first memories of being on the good old Watercooler?
Tag.
Yeah. That's the first thing I think of, yeah.
Oh, God. Was it created by that Ashley? The one who thought she was popular?
Yeah, I think so.
And then I know she ended up creating that hidden group that she buried in like some sub menu that nobody bothered to check out. And Dahlberg recently confirmed to me that he's the one who snitched on that group. So there is that.
Yeah, she just created that group to trash talk other people. Like, it's weird.
I mean, that's that's retail and Best Buy for you. But who are some of the people you remember first coming across?
Angel Rogers.
Who?
Yeah, Angel's my birthday buddy.
There we go.
I remember Angel. Yeah, she and I share a birthday.
I remember the crazies. the one thread where it was like, I has the crazies. Yeah. She helped.
Yeah, not like the political thread. My God, some of the people that went in there like that.
Oh boy, I was a prolific participant in that. Let me tell you.
Yeah, what was his...
I'm surprised it's staying around as long as it did, to be honest.
It should have been nuked a long time ago.
Oh my God. When I came back and I saw that they still had a political discussion thread, I'm like, have you learned nothing?
No, they ended up just banning a bunch of people, or I don't get that guy Oliver. I think of it. His name was the one who would constantly just harangue anybody that didn't agree with him. And I mean, to your point, Amir, I don't know how they kept that particular thread open for as long as they did, but some of the first people, I mean, I remember, of course, Eric Dahlberg, who for whatever reason decided he's going to work today, a little bitch. He when I first came across him, he had an undying love for Kevin Spacey at the time, and then said something about K-Pax being a good movie.
Wasn't that his icon?
It was.
Yeah.
Oh, I forgot.
That did not age well.
No. I mean, I ultimately was proven right in that whole thing. But there was that. Oh my God. I remember the first time I met Chelsea. Looks like Eric's camera's off. But Chelsea, I made you mad.
You made me mad? Oh no.
Yeah, because there was, I think it was a guy at your store that you were dating at the time was also on the Watercooler.
Oh, yes!
Yes! I remember that. Everyone hated him, and I was like, oh my God, stay off the forums. I was like, stay off the forums if you know what's good for you.
Yeah.
I forgot about him.
And then I was mad at you guys, because you guys were like, you guys just kept going at it, and he kept going at it, and I was like, please.
Well, we did have somebody pop in here. Are you there, Eric? Says your camera's off. You gotta be here.
I'm eating.
Oh. What up?
Well, hey.
That's good.
Well, tell the folks at home just who you are. Tell the folks who you are.
What?
Eric, tell the folks
You don't know who I am?
Yeah.
I'm the guy that lives up by Seattle that you keep telling your listeners is a serial killer.
You said it first.
Is he wrong?
I mean, I was like, you didn't confirm nor deny, right?
Oh no, I absolutely confirm.
All right, guys, it's nice talking to you.
I know nothing NSA. Nothing.
Yep. Now, another wacky thing about Watercooler, since we do have a couple people here that are expert in it, Watercooler marriages. Do we remember those?
Yes.
How many people here got Watercooler married? Yeah, you definitely traded up there.
Then I married that one. So
Yeah.
it all evens out in the end.
The ultimate water cooler marriage.
The ultimate one.
Right?
Marriage.
Full circle.
Yeah,
I love happy ending.
I think I might have been married to Rebecca. Yeah,
Rebecca who?
Rebecca N.
I don't... Oh, wait. Was she the one that you ultimately got annoyed with? Among the...
Possibly.
I mean, I know that's a long list.
Yeah. But a lot of shit that I like, all you people I know, long years and stuff, but like, I had a whole chain of things that happened because of Watercooler, to be honest with you, because I met Rebecca, who introduced me to my WoW guild, who introduced me to my video game community, who my wife joined.
All right.
We've been married for 6 years now.
Wow.
So I honestly, it was like one of those weird chain of reaction things that happened that if I had not ran into Watercooler, that whole thing wouldn't have happened.
Well, the two people that are expert at it, Jessica and Keith, why don't you tell the folks at home your story?
Oh, well, Keith and I were MySpace friends.
MySpace?
We were MySpace friends back in 2008. And that's like how long we've known, like all of us have known each other for that.
Yeah.
That's so wild to me. Like,
Yeah.
really crazy. But yeah, we started talking in late 2011, like October 2011. And then we ended up, so we were in each other's presence for 30 days. 3 years ago when we got married. Like, we had been in each other's presence for 30 days.
Before you got... Oh, my goodness.
Literally. And it was just like a random series of events that led up to it. And like a week here and a week there, because he was in the Army at the time, and it was impossible to get leave. And I worked at an internet marketing company, and I was able to like do stuff, but like I ended up going back to Best Buy to fundraise. I was like some plasma at one point. Like, look at him. He's worth it.
Aren't y'all cute?
When we ended up getting married, it was like 7 years ago on May 24th.
Wow.
We eloped. We surprised the whole world. It was fantastic.
It was definitely a shock, and I even got you some publicity.
You did, and I have my framed copy of the Link magazine. That's the wonderful article.
I remember seeing that.
Yeah.
And it's framed because I loved it so much.
Aww.
Probably not way.
Eric, is that your mic? The only thing you're murdering now is the mic.
Sounds like he's throwing stuff.
or
Rage quit.
hiding bodies. Now, speaking of that, at least they took the bodies out. What about some of the other funny stuff on the water cooler, you know? How did that start out, by the way?
That day was amazing.
At least they took the bodies out thing is one of the weird ones to me, because I find myself having like really good situations to use that, and then no one knows the fuck I'm talking about.
Well, like I say it to people. I say it to people, and they still think it's funny. They just don't know.
But they don't
exact
get it.
context.
Get it.
I'm like, it's all right. There's a story behind this.
Somebody somewhere is going to laugh at this.
I remember having a really bad haul-away freezer in the warehouse that smelled like they took the bodies out.
I think that's how it came about. I think it was somebody in appliances.
Yeah.
There was one, yeah, definitely.
Yeah, I remember that image. I wish I didn't.
Oh, my goodness. How about some of the now Andy, who created, was one of the people that helped initiate the water cooler at Best Buy, knew that we were all going to swear when we typed on water cooler, and he came up with some funny little things like Pancake Bunny. I don't even know where that came from.
It was like that meme with
one of the original memes.
It's a bunny with a pancake on its head.
Oh.
It was like
Okay.
the original memes.
It lost me. I mean,
we kept ourselves in there. There was a Natalie's haggis.
Oh my gosh.
So I was one of the people who had the whole list saved.
I remember that. You sent it to me.
people would ask me to send it to them so that they had like the translation. And I remember I actually got banned for a while because it hit some of the corporate filters. I got blocked from the system for, I think it was 2 days. Yeah.
Oh my goodness.
What about the story that somebody had written with all the filtered words? Like, they used it in the story.
Gosh.
Yeah.
Oh, who did that?
I can't remember.
I don't remember.
I think once we managed to figure them all out, a lot of people were doing it.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
Does anyone still have the list?
No.
Because I only remember a couple of them now, and that makes me so sad because they were so colorful and wonderful.
It was a long list.
It really was.
It had like 50 words, I think. Something like that.
I think there was more than that. It was
maybe
weird things you would never have thought of, and then we just started typing random stuff in. We're like,
to see what the filter out, and then editing things or getting rid of them.
Oh man.
Didn't they have to go in and add more?
Yeah, they did go
more
and
definitely got added over my time
because
there.
of us.
Yeah. Now, speaking of getting in trouble, how many of us have gotten in trouble on the water cooler?
Yep.
Oh, in real life or in real life?
In real life, I got in trouble for it a lot.
I got in trouble all the time by the company for using it. I'm like, sir, you gave this to me.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh, me. I almost...
And Andy would actually...
Oh, go ahead.
Sorry, go ahead.
No, you were first.
Andy would actually tell people if like management or supervisor at the store tried to tell them not to use it, just tell them to, email him because he would always stick up for it.
Yeah.
You got a lot of information on it, though. Like,
I mean, we both worked in appliances. Like, that was our start.
you just talked to Zach.
like
you
Zach
answered
Washington
Oh, yeah.
was like a
Yeah,
really
Zach
big help
answered
for
any
me.
questions we had.
Because I would always have plenty of questions for appliances, and Zach Washington would chime in with like the best sales pitches to combat
Yo, when you're looking for a SKU and no one in your store
Oh my
can
God,
help you,
right? Yes.
I remember being like, hey, I'm gonna hit y'all up.
Yeah.
Now,
In the SWAT forum, we had a whole series of waiting for the stock counts to print whenever they were late.
Yes. Was it Tuesdays that would happen?
I don't even remember. I think Tuesday does sound familiar. I think it was Tuesdays and Thursdays, actually. That was when green screen updated.
Yeah, our SWAT forum was really helpful. I'll admit that a lot.
Nice. Now, Eric's graced us with his picture here. Hi. He's a father now. Can you believe that? Somebody bred with that guy. We never thought it would happen. What was that?
Yeah, I got in trouble a lot about Watercooler. They
Yeah.
tried to write me up. Then they just wrote me up about other shit.
I was in customer service, and they moved us from where customer service used to be by Geek Squad to the front of the store. Like, we were at the very front, like, right in front of the front doors, so they could watch us all the time. And I think they literally would make me stand there, and then if any time a manager walked by and I was on Watercooler, they were like, take it off, turn it down, go away. So, it was crazy.
I did almost get fired because of Watercooler. Yeah, there was a thread one time. I think it was like an insult thread or something like that. And then a bunch of people ended up getting in trouble for it, myself included, because I wrote a joke that was on Late Night with Conan O'Brien. It was like something about Octomom and having an apartment, in her vagina or something like that. But that was me at work. Yeah. Anybody get in trouble like that on Watercooler? Did you ever get written up or talked to by Andy about that?
Oh, no.
Oh, just me. It was just me. Hey.
Nope.
Okay.
I managed to duck that. Strategic use of words.
Well, I learned that after.
I hold my craft by arguing in the politics forum. It's like how much can you push that line? And I wasn't trying to do anything super ignorant. I had a very low tolerance for really ignorant people saying really ignorant shit. And they would. I still do, so.
Oh, especially some of the conservative people. Is that your microphone again? Whose microphone is that?
Yeah, I can't. I can barely hear you.
Yeah, maybe
There is.
That's Dahlberg.
Is that Dahlberg? I think that's your mic. There's some weird background noise going on.
silent here.
Now it's going.
Yeah, it just
There you
it picked up something.
Okay.
go. That was good.
It was weird. Okay. Now, how many of us have met any Watercooler people in real life? Well, obviously you, Jessica.
I've met 2 people.
We've met Alex and John, and
Yep.
we met Megan.
I worked at Megan's store with her, 196.
Oh yeah.
McKinney.
Mhm.
She's a sweetheart.
Yeah.
Oh, she
I
is.
met Megan. I met Chris. Masters. Brooke. I met Alex, of course.
A bunch
And
of
I
times,
met
actually.
Doza. Yeah. Yeah, I met John Doza a few times as well.
Yeah, I've hung out with John Sosa a bunch too.
And Eric, he was like, I don't know, a half hour from us.
Right.
Yeah.
Like he
We
lived
have not
down
met.
the street.
Yeah, I mean, I think this is the second time Dahlberg and I have actually talked in person like this. Every other time has just been interacting over text messages. All this time.
Yeah.
I'm a hermit.
I've been to Zach Wash's house and we shot fireworks off.
Nice.
Nice. Now we have had.
met Johnny
Go ahead.
and Les. That's who I've met. Oh, just Johnny and Les. I don't know. Yeah, that's who I've met. So.
Oh, I've also met Gwen a couple times.
Oh, really?
And she's no longer with us, but I did meet Erica down in Georgia.
Oh man.
I met her too.
Me and Gwen were supposed to meet like at least 6 times, and it just never worked out because we were actually pretty close.
Yeah, you guys didn't live
Yeah.
far from each other.
Yeah.
But yeah, I've met both of you guys. I've hung out with Amir in Ohio and DC and Philly.
That's awesome.
All over the
All over
country.
the place.
Yeah. What about you, Eric? Have you met anybody?
I don't remember her name.
You don't. Just somebody.
Yeah, I've met a few people now that I think about it. I met Brian Slow as well.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah, I also
Who?
met Zach Washa, but
I was supposed to meet Washa, actually, but I was not in Pittsburgh long enough.
yeah, it's probably for the best.
I'm fairly certain we're all tagged in that picture of you two.
Yes?
Oh
Yeah, a lot. Like that was on Mount Washington, I think it is, that overlooks the city. Which I've been to Pittsburgh a bunch more times since then because I have a I have a big group of friends there now, and I haven't been back to that spot. But whatever. But yeah, there were actually a lot of pictures of a couple of Watercooler people that got tagged with everybody, and then some of them had like thousands of comments.
Oh, jeez.
That was the OG, though.
I think it was.
Yeah, that was the OG.
original one we all
Oh.
God, that thing's probably like multiple
Shoot, I want to say that was in 2010 or 2011.
I think that was like 2010.
A decade.
Yeah, that was like 2010.
Yeah, it was a long time ago.
Jeez, before even Facebook was really a thing, we were all talking on the water cooler. My goodness. And yeah, I know one person I really wanted to meet and never got a chance to meet, who sadly passed on as well, is Stephanie Hine. Yeah. Know her as Stephanie. We knew her as Stephanie Reed back in the day, but just a really, really sweet soul. Anybody remember her?
I do.
Yeah, I was friends with her on Facebook still.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was how. I mean, honestly, Facebook is how I found out about like her and Erica. That was. Yeah.
Yeah, sad both. You know, I know I've talked about it on the show before with Stephanie, but for folks at home, if you're listening for the first time, Stephanie recently, about a year or so ago, passed away from stage 4 uterine cancer. Just an awful, awful way to go, especially for someone, you know, such a sweet person. But where is that static coming from? My goodness. That is...
I think it's coming from Eric.
Yeah.
Sorry, dude. I know that your mic's picking up.
Showed up.
Yeah.
Your
Yeah.
mic's picking up something, I think.
It's like.
It's gone now.
Yeah, it's good now.
Yeah.
So it's like one of those mics that, like, as soon as a noise is made, it just keeps going on and just picks up shit.
Yeah.
And then, like, once you talked, it was fine, and then it did it again. I don't know.
Well, yeah, he had to do something to screw up my recording, man.
Now you got to go in there and like mess with the audio levels. And yeah, I did podcasting for a while. It was
Yeah.
frustrating.
Well, if you heard my show long enough, you would think I just started myself. But anybody have any more stories they want to talk about here? Or are we wrapping up right about now?
I just think it's dope that we all still know each other. Like we still
I know,
aren't, like,
right?
avoiding each other on Facebook or something. Like I know of you, but we don't really talk. I'm trying to get Ray to join one of my tabletop games. We've been trying to like just work out a schedule because he works weird hours in comparison to me. I've hung out with Alex within the last like year, couple of times actually.
We were supposed to be in Philly right before the shutdown started.
Right.
Yeah.
Aw. Well, maybe hopefully soon that will happen again.
Yeah, and I was like I told Gwen, like, next time I'm coming up in the Ohio area, I was like, we're going to have to make this work out next time. But yeah, like, it's like, shit, it's like 15 years for
Oh my god.
Yeah.
Between 13 and 15 years for, like, how long we've known each other. And that's, like, the coolest shit. Like, all because we came across each other on a Best Buy forum.
Yeah, through the internet.
Right.
Happened to work at Best Buy at the exact same time.
Yeah.
That is wild.
I can say myself that Watercooler is probably one of the only good things that Best Buy ever really did for me.
Besides the discount. I say that in the discount.
Discount was pretty dope. I'm not gonna
Until,
lie.
you know, when they took it away, that was shitty. But then they gave it back.
Yes.
So, but,
Like,
do you remember they
took it away, like, right as I left? Got it back.
Right as I started. We were right at the same time. Yep.
It was
right as it came back.
I did that for you.
Thank you.
Oh, man, but...
I remember when they took Watercooler away and they made it was just like the news kind of forum thing, and it's like it wasn't the same at all.
No.
And it was way harder for people to actually communicate through there. It was just like comments on a feed instead of, you know, a forum, and it really knocked things down a peg.
It really... Did they even...
When did they do that?
That was, I think early 2015 or late 2014.
No, it was
That was around
2014.
the time, like, right before I
It was
left.
right before I left,
Yeah.
too.
Right before I left.
Yeah,
I was like, alright, Watercooler's dead, I'm good.
Yeah, peace out,
At the
bitches.
time, I was just standing up there at Geek Squad, bored out of my fucking mind while computers were resetting, and I'm just like, what else am I going to do? And they're like, no more water cooler. Well, I'm like...
Do
I would just get cussed out by Karen. That's what's gonna happen to me. That's my life now.
And Black Fridays were like, Watercooler was like my savior, because it was like, you could go like rant or just like talk to people, like just like all the crazy days in general.
Just don't listen.
Right.
And everybody in the Watercooler understood.
Oh,
like how many times do I have to yell at you to not move past the line?
Right.
Stay there, damn it.
I still don't have Watercooler, thanks.
Well, is that new thing still there?
Around.
I know.
Is the water cooler replacement still there?
But we're still here.
It's all good. It's all good.
Is that water cooler replacement still at Best Buy, or did they get rid of that too?
There are helpful forums, but nothing like what we had. The thing that they did try to do, it's called the Employee Hub right now, and
that's what it's called.
That was it.
Yep.
Yeah. And I don't know how active different stores are on it, but they can create their own like store sub hub.
Right.
If you want to call it, I don't know.
Our store had one. We were hot garbage though. Like nobody did it other than to bitch at each other, but like in like subtweet kind of way.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. So I don't know. I mean, it helps in some areas. Like I know the merch one is pretty useful for people, but I don't have as much time as I used to. So to fuck around.
I can imagine.
Well, yeah, we
world now.
We had it good. In a lot of ways, we had it good. We had the ability to Amir's point too, just those bad customers, being able to go and commiserate with a bunch of fellow compatriots that have to deal with the same thing, was one, gosh darn it. It's amazing that we are all here today just because of something silly like a computer program bringing us all together, so...
Yeah.
Ain't that nice? There we go. Throw up the horns. Anyway, I think we will wrap it up here. I thank you all for joining us today. Thank you.
Appreciate you. Yeah. Thank you for putting this together.
No problem. Thank you. And thank you all for listening. And we will see you all next week. And folks, remember...
It's such a good feeling to know you're alive. It's such a happy feeling. You're growing inside, and when you wake up ready to say, I think I'll make a snappy new day. It's such a good feeling, a very good feeling. The feeling that I'll be back when the day is new. And I'll have more ideas for you. And you'll have things you'll want to talk about. I will too. You always make each day such a special day. You know how? By just your being you. Only one person in the whole world like you. That's you yourself. I'll be back next time. Bye-bye.
Subscribe to Friends Talking Nerdy on iTunes, the Google Play Music Store, as well as Spotify. Remember to support Friends Talking Nerdy on Patreon. Goodbye, darling.